Welcome. In this section, I'd like to present to you a variety of meditation techniques. This is certainly not a full list. There are many, many different types, but I'd like to present a variety to give you some things to play with, see what resonates with you, what feels good, what seems to be effective. So I encourage you to listen to your own experience and to see what feels like it's a good fit for you. You may want to try different ones. I encourage you to give one a good try, for a little while to see if it feels good to you before you move on to something else. But a little experimentation is valuable to see what's most beneficial to you, just like different types of foods, different types of exercise will affect different people differently. The same with meditation. So I'd like to give you several things that you can play around with and that you can explore further on your own. So we're not going to go deeply into each of these techniques. In this section, I just want to give an overview of some things that are available. Before I forget to mention it, I want to say that in some traditions, they say it should always be in silence. I also find that having music can help to keep my mind occupied and I don't get into my thoughts as much. The music can kind of keep my thoughts occupied and it helps me focus on my meditation. So there are plenty of rules and regulations and dogma out there, and I don't really want to give you more of that to worry about. Of course, there is something to be said for some consistency, for practice, not just run around with too many different techniques, but at the same time, I don't want to burden you with unnecessary dogma rules or regulations. So whether or not you use music is completely up to you. So with any of these techniques I'm going to present, you might have some background music, something quiet, or maybe an om. I find that is usually best for meditation instead of something that's too involved or too busy. But again, you can see what works for you. And I do have a list here that I'm going to refer to because I don't want to forget to mention something because I'm mentioning quite a few different techniques. So a very, very simple basic one is to simply follow your breath. And I should mention sit comfortably. I'm sitting on the floor. I have a pillow underneath my hips. If I'm sitting flat on the floor, I tend to feel like I have trouble sitting straight. So having a little support under my seat allows me to sit comfortably. You may be more comfortable in a chair with your feet flat on the floor. That is also fine. So it's important to find a way that you can sit comfortably because we're going to be sitting here for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour if you're ready to take on that, but no pressure there. But it is important to find a way of sitting that you can be comfortable. And it's often said to have your spine straight during meditation. We certainly don't want to slouch or slump. However, the spine does have its natural curves, right? So I like to think of it as elongating the spine. We don't have to have a rigid, stiff posture, but we have a gentle elongation in the spine. I heard one way of expressing it is to like picking up a string of pearls, that we just have some breathing room between the vertebrae. So we want to have a relaxed elongation. We don't want to be stiff, and you don't want to be holding and causing tension by trying to keep your spine completely straight, but we also don't want to slouch or slump. So we want to have a gentle elongation through our spine. You can even think of tucking the chin just a little bit so the back of our neck is long so we don't have a head forward kind of posture. The neck is also part of the spine, right? So we want to lengthen through the spine and keep the shoulders relaxed. So we don't want to take a posture that causes us to hold. So I like to think of it as a gentle elongation of the spine while relaxing the shoulders. You also may want to do some movement or some breathing exercises before you sit. We're going to look at that in the last section when I take you through a whole meditation. But right now I just want to present some different options. So being comfortable in your body, no matter which technique you're going to use, is an important place to start. So check in, make sure you're comfortable, spine elongated, but shoulders relaxed, not gripping or holding anywhere. So a very simple basic meditation is to just follow the breath with eyes closed, and to just feel the inhalation coming through the nose and out through the nose. You're simply focusing on that sensation. Or you could inhale through the mouth, through the nose, and exhale through the mouth. So that's a very simple meditation practice. If my mind is very busy, sometimes I like having a little more to focus on than just my breath. Sometimes if I'm just focusing on my breath, I get into my thoughts a lot. So again, different techniques can be helpful for different people. At least when I'm starting out in a meditation, I often like to have something a little more to occupy my mind than just following the breath. But if that works for you, great. If you want to add a little something else, you could simply count the breath. You could inhale for 4 counts slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale for 4 counts. 3, 4. So you could simply count 1, 2, 3, 4 to inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4 to exhale. Another wonderful exercise which also helps the body relax is to inhale for 4 counts, hold the breath for 4 counts, and exhale for 6. And this is relaxing for the nervous system. You may not do this for your entire meditation, but it can be a good way to start. And that would look like this. You'd be inhaling slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4, 3, 4. And exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold the breath. 3, 4. Exhale for 6, 3, 4, 5, 6. You could also use a word instead of counting. You could substitute the word love or peace or healing. So that could look like this in your own mind, silently, as you're breathing. Love, 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 love. Hold, love, 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 love. Exhale, love, 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 love. So you have the word for each second. Inhaling for 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 6, and you could use the word love or peace or healing if that appeals to you. And that brings us to the meditation that is a mantra meditation or uses a word or a phrase. You could use a single word like love or peace or healing, or you could just follow your breath with that word without worrying about the counting. You could also use Om, inhaling the word Om, exhaling the word Om. There are longer phrases too. There's one of my favorites that I find to be very peaceful, Om Namo Narayanaya. It's a little more involved, but it does keep the mind occupied in a peaceful way. And to do this, you can do it silently or aloud. So if I did it aloud, it would be like this. I might inhale and exhale. Om Namo Narayanaya. Good. Inhale. Exhale. Om Namo Narayanaya. Inhale. Exhale. Om Namo Narayanaya. Or simply Om. Inhale. Om. exhale, Om. Om. Or you could do this silently. You can inhale, chanting Om internally, and exhale Om internally. Or the same with Om Namo Narayanaya, or another chant. The Hare Krishna chant you may have heard of. That's another mantra. It's a little longer. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Very powerful, and I find very hard to think about anything else if I'm chanting that. So that definitely keeps the mind occupied. You can also use a beads or a mala. Traditionally, they have 108 beads. And this tassel of strings here is to let you know when you've gone all the way around. So the tradition with this is to say that mantra, either whatever it is, that word or that phrase or that mantra, and then you say it one time for each bead and move your fingers to the next bead each time you say it. So then when you've gone all the way around the strand and you come back to the fuzzy part, then you know you've done 108 rounds, so you don't have to think about keeping time or how many times I've done this. So it's a wonderful tool for letting you know you did it 108 times, and depending on how long the mantra is, that's going to determine how long your chant is. If you're doing a longer mantra, obviously it's going to take you a little longer to get around all the way around the mala. But that's a way that you don't have to keep count, and it kind of keeps time for you too. So that can be a nice meditation practice, and you know you're done when you've gone all the way around and you come back and feel the fuzzy part in your hand. So another type of meditation is to visualize something. It can be very simple. Remember, we started with just feeling the breath. You can also imagine yourself breathing out in and out of a point of light, maybe in your forehead or your heart chakra. The upper chakras, right, are associated with intuition or our spiritual self or our higher self. So you can imagine a dot of white light or violet light or blue light in your forehead or in your crown, and as you breathe in, you can imagine you're breathing into it, and as you exhale, you can imagine you're breathing out of it. Or same thing with the third eye. You could breathe in, imagining a point of light, and breathe out. So you can imagine that you're breathing directly in and out of that energy center or chakra. Or of course, the heart is a great chakra to meditate on and to breathe in and out of, because that's in the center of the body. It's in the center of the chakras. It helps connect the upper and lower chakras. It's the seat of love and compassion. So you could imagine yourself breathing in and out. You could combine that with a word or Om or love if you wanted. You could inhale and think of the word love or Om and see that point of light, and exhale. So you can inhale and exhale white light if you'd like. You could also go through each of the 7 chakras or energy centers in the body, starting from the base and coming up to the crown, spending a little time to breathe at each one. That almost becomes more of a visualization than a meditation, because you're having to remember to go to the next chakra, but that's also an option. You can also do an open-eyed meditation, staring at the flame of a candle or a flower or the picture of a spiritual teacher or spiritual master or somebody that's inspiring to you. So that's a different kind of open-eyed meditation. There's also just letting your gaze, having the eyes partly closed, just looking at the floor a foot or so in front of you. And the idea of that is that we're in a balance between the inner and the outer world. The eyelids are partly closed. We're not looking out at a broad vista. We're not looking at a lot of different things. We're looking down at the floor just about a foot or so away from us, and the eyelids are relaxed. They're almost closed, but not quite. And we breathe and just gently focus on that point we're looking at in the floor. So that's an interesting balance between being in the inner worlds and the outer worlds and not getting too lost in one. So that's an interesting approach. We could also imagine, like looking at the picture of a master or a guru or a spiritual teacher, whoever that is for you. You can also imagine that internally. You can close your eyes and imagine that that spiritual being is right in front of you. You can even imagine light going between your crown chakra, between your third eye chakras or your heart chakras, and imagine that you're getting blessed and enlightened and healed by that master. So that's an interesting silent internal meditation where you're visualizing that master or guru or teacher or spiritual being or your own higher self right in front of you, and you're connecting with your breath or a visualization of light between the two of you. There are also movement meditations. Tai Chi, where there is a repetitive movement, is very meditative because you're doing the same thing again and again and again. It's not random movements. So that's what makes it meditative. Remember when we talked in our introduction, I shared what I felt was a very good definition of meditation, which is doing one thing at a time to the exclusion of everything else. So Tai Chi, because it's a repeated movement, that can also be a meditative process because we're doing the same thing again and again, repeatedly with awareness. So that is an overview of quite a few different practices. You may already have some ideas of what appeals to you or does not appeal to you of the ones that I mentioned. Allow yourself some time both to stick with a meditation technique for a little while so that you can see the benefits, but also allow yourself to have a non-dogmatic approach and to see what resonates and feels effective for you. Different things, different techniques help different people depending on their temperament or what appeals to them. So I encourage you to play with them, the different techniques that are available, and see what you find to be of benefit and what speaks to you. Thank you, and Namaste.